And the thing that hurts me is it's really demeaning to the pilots and the people that put that whole thing together, the generals. That was a perfect operation.
President of the United States talking about the strike in Iran under scrutiny as deep state minimizes the strike effectiveness. But there's huge pushback now from, get this, the Israelis on the ground who have confirmed the devastation and the Iranians. The Iranians. And the White House is beside themselves because they put together a huge operation. And if you want to talk about what happens next, let's debate it. If you want to talk about the decision to go in, let's debate it. But now you're saying, okay, the biggest non-nuclear bombs in the world, dropped 12 of them, Tomahawks, destroyed one above-ground facility, which is where they convert the enriched uranium to a gas, to an orb that goes on top of a missile. That's destroyed. And now all of a sudden, oh, well, wait a second, I don't really think much was done. Maybe sets them back 2 or 3 months. Bret Baier, we talked about this last night on Special Report. That was one of the topics for the panel. And now there's huge pushback today. Your thoughts?
Yeah, hey, Brian, I think we handled it right, cautiously looking at the leaked intel from that said low confidence. I mean, if you looked at what was leaked, essentially it said that they can't make a determination is what the intel said. But the Israelis and the Iranians now are putting out statements saying they believe that it's going to be many years. It's Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons set back by many years. And they say, I mean, when you have the Iranian foreign ministry spokesperson saying its nuclear installations badly damaged by American strikes, I mean, what's on the upside for them, other than to tell the truth, one, and to try to get in a position on this ceasefire to be negotiating kind of further. So I don't know. I think the stories were overheated, and the headlines were, big and bold, but it didn't match what the intel was saying.
So we should be clear. It's one of 17 intel agencies in America that writes. This is from the Pentagon. And they said of low confidence, but this is what we think. It's going to be put back 2 to 3 months. Well, the Israeli Atomic Energy Commission put out another statement just now. The devastating U.S. strike on Fordo destroyed the site's critical infrastructure and rendered the enrichment facility inoperable. We assessed that the American strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, combined with the Israeli strikes on other elements of Iran's military nuclear program, has set back Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons for many years. This achievement can continue indefinitely if Iran does not get access to nuclear material. And then we factor in the fact that the AP said, as you mentioned, that Iran says there's significant damage to our nuclear facility. Here's their quote through translation: badly damaged. Our nuclear program is badly damaged. And then you factor in that the president of Iran wants to have talks. To me, Bret, the story is this: the decision to go in. The aftermath, absolutely, that should be a decision. That should be a discussion. The decision to go in, what happens next, and what does Iran do next? But instead, they have to diminish something President Trump did as if it's back to the Russia hoax, back to the impeachment scandal, back to the laptop being real. Why? It's like they go out of their way, almost rooting against the success of a strike that other presidents refused to take that he did take.
I agree with you. And it's the actual action of the move that has changed the dynamic. And I think we're going to get a better assessment over time about really what the Iran nuclear facilities and their capabilities are. But the fact that the Iranians want to get to the table in this ceasefire suggests to you all that you need to know. That changed the entire dynamic of what was happening on the ground.
I know. I want you to hear, because you played last night, Martha's great interview with the IAEA head. Marco Rubio spoke this morning, and he said this about the leak itself, cut 5.
So I can also tell you that intelligence leaks are one of the most frustrating things anywhere, not just because you got somebody who has access to this putting stuff out there, but because it's so often mischaracterized. An intelligence report, for anyone who's ever seen it, sometimes is an assessment. Some analyst will make an assessment, or analysts will make an assessment. And in these leaks, what you typically have is someone who read it and then leaks it to the media, giving it the spin and the angle they want it to have because they've got some purpose. Embarrass the administration, they were against the action, whatever it may be.
So what Bret Baier put out this morning, who I know you are a fan of, is notice who did the story. And it's this Natasha Bertrand. And she was at the forefront of the Russia investigation. She was at the forefront of the dossier revelation. She was at the forefront, and the recipient of 51 intel agents said that the laptop was not real. Now, Bret Baier, hardly a conspiracy theorist or a fringe political analyst, I would say he's as mainstream as he gets. He noticed that. Do you think that's something we all should know?
Well, I definitely should notice it, and it's a pattern. And Bret is usually good at cutting through the noise. And yeah, I mean it's something worth noting. And if you look at all of those, iterations of stories, they all dealt with, it seemed, some deep kind of intel sources trying to influence things one way or another.
Of course, we'll continue to talk about this, and then we'll talk about what they said at NATO, and they've all agreed to go to 5% of their GDP in terms of defense spending. Between the invasion of Ukraine by Russia and the president urging more expenditures, I think the message really got through in 2025, Bret, that was laughed at in 2017.
Yeah, exactly. And look, it's only because of President Trump that NATO leaders are doing this. I mean, there's no other impetus that forced this issue other than President Trump in the first term and then pushing it the second term. And the fact that those countries get up to 5, whether it's 3.5 and 1.5 or however they break it down, but increasing that much of their GDP is really, really significant. We've obviously been putting into NATO and funding it for years and years.
Yeah, I just hope, me personally, that the president finds a way to get some funding to Ukraine. I mean, they earned it. This isn't the South Vietnamese have to get their backbone. This is a country fighting gallantly for 3 years on a war they didn't ask for. And I just think that if Zelensky hangs in Kyiv, that'll be worse than even Afghanistan. I think the Western world understands what's at stake. He did show up to Zelensky in a suit this time. I think he got the president's message. President didn't like the uniform.
Yeah, and he's meeting with President Trump on the sidelines of NATO, and maybe this dynamic is different, and you're right, it changes. But, you think about the nuclear efforts, and you look back, and Ukraine giving up its nuclear program, would they be in the same spot today if they had it?
Would Gaddafi be alive? Probably.
Exactly.
He would be alive.
Exactly.
And that's what the Ayatollah is looking at this and saying, wait a second, we might look at Iraq and say maybe we shouldn't have gone in, but he looks at Saddam Hussein and sees him hanging. And then he looks at Gaddafi and he goes, well, there was no plan after the visual invasion, the visual bombing campaign. True. But you know what the Ayatollah probably looks at is Gaddafi's fate, the most horrific fate you can imagine for a leader. And I think that's what he's looking at right now. And those are the cards he's looking at. Real quick on the New York primary, Zohran Mamdani wins, a radical socialist, Muslim, who never really accomplished anything in his life, never really had a real job, but promises free buses, free trains, free supermarkets, city-run supermarkets. BDS supports the BDS movement, and not a fan of the Jewish religion. Cut 28.
We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford. A city where they can do more than just struggle. And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism, to stop mass ICE agents from deporting our neighbors, and to govern our city as a model for the Democratic Party.
I should bring up that he wants to defund the police, too, and get social workers out there, which will be a big relief. because I'm so tired of law and order. So this opens up. The Democratic primary goes to Zamdani. Cuomo, who is, defamed and disgraced anyway, is gone, it seems. And that might clear the way for Curtis Lewa and Eric Adams. This is a national story, isn't it?
100%. I mean, it shows dissatisfaction. First of all, it's a reaction to not feeling great, but it also is a Democratic Party that is trying to find a powerful voice. And right now, the powerful voices are coming from the far left. And the Bernie Sanders and AOC applauding this is really quite something. And, I don't know if it's a model. We'll see what happens in the general election. I think things bode well for Eric Adams to make a comeback, but we'll see. Maybe Curtis Lewa figures it out.
So, Bret, I can't guarantee you this, but we are putting the rights to our Eric Adams interview out in the open market. And if you want to make a bid on that, get to that early and use my name.
Okay, I'll try to get in there with your name.
Okay. Hey, by the way, is it true you have Lawrence Jones on the panel tonight?
We do, I believe.
Right.
I haven't gotten the list of the panel, but I think I'll be in New York. I mean, it won't be as good as last night's panel.
That's what I was going to say. Right. I mean,
yeah.
And I told Lawrence that, and he's not looking to exceed me. By the way, Bret's got a new book coming out in October. It's called To Rescue the American Spirit, Teddy Roosevelt and the Birth of a Superpower. You were out at Sagamore Hill yesterday, the last home of Teddy Roosevelt. Was that the first time you were there?
First time I was there, yeah. I had researchers, went up there, and I saw pictures of it and everything, but I had not been in it. And it is like he left yesterday. It's really quite something. If you ever have a chance to get up there, it's awesome, as you well know.
His son's buried in the property. He's buried in the property a short way away. But here's the crazy thing. That, to me, I'm always surprised because that was a school trip for every elementary school on Long Island. You know how you have your own town and you have your own?
Yeah.
So that was there every day. And how crazy is this? Across the way from Sagamore Hill is one of the homes that George Washington stayed in when he came back to Long Island to thank his spies before he became president.
Amazing. The history just in that area is really quite something.
In Oyster Bay, that's one of the spies was right there.
Hey, let me mention one more thing.
Yep.
I am once again playing in the American Century Championship in Lake Tahoe.
When?
And it's in a couple weeks. And I think I'm going to be traveling, so I won't be on the radio show. So I wanted to mention that people should tune in because it's going to be a good year with all the celebs playing against each other. As you know, it's a pretty big thing.
Yeah.
I need to get in the top page of the leaderboard.
A couple of things. Do you know who's in your foursome?
No, you don't know until you get there.
Okay.
But it's the same people always are at the top of the list. Steph Curry and
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is up there sometimes. There's a bunch of big names, but usually the same people go to the top of the list. Jack Wagner, believe it or not, soap opera star. He's always up there too. And anyway, I would like to get to the top page of the leaderboard at least, so that NBC has to put me on the leaderboard.
How well are you playing?
I'm playing okay. I've been working a little bit, so my game has suffered slightly, but I'm ready. Maybe I'll call you from out there.
It'll be great, Bret. You're going to be so relaxed because you have been working so much. You're not going to have the pressure on yourself. I predict great things.
Right. Good. American Century. There you go.
You got it. Bret Baier, thanks so much. Back in a moment. Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.